So anybody who is just logging on, again, it's Brittany with Scott Leroy Marketing. And today we are going to be going over the Command website platform. So this is going to be everything under the Command IDX website that is provided for you guys right through Command, which is fantastic. It's all under that umbrella. We're going to be going over how to set it up, how to make some edits to it, make sure that your information is showing up properly on the back end. And I'm also going to go over how to make some tweaks just in case you've previously set this up and you're just looking to kind of spot check it or make any edits to that platform. We're going to go over all of that today. Everything that we are doing through class is going to be through the Command platform. So this is our agent.kw.com portal. And I'm just going to be logging in through Command. The other thing I want to mention, only because sometimes a couple of pop-ups will come up, is I am using a Firefox browser. And you'll also notice in the top right-hand corner, I have that little mask. That means that I'm using an incognito window or a private window. Generally, this is what we use when we're logging into Command. We've just noticed that it works best for us. If you're using another browser, whether it's Chrome or Firefox, Safari, Edge, any of those platforms, that is completely fine. I just happen to be in Firefox and I'm using a private window. So I'm going to go ahead and get logged into my Command platform. Once we are logged into Command, the first thing I want to go over is going to be the marketing profile. You may have already gone through the marketing profile and made any edits that you guys need, made done, or any updates that you guys may have, which is completely fine. We just want to go through the marketing profile and make sure that all of your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed, because it is essentially the ground zero for all of your marketing. So every single thing that pulls from Command is going to pull from this marketing profile, including your website. So in order to access that, all we're going to do is click on our name in the top right-hand corner. And then we're going to go ahead and click on settings. So our name and then settings. And the settings portion sometimes takes a second to load. So again, don't panic, just give it 1 minute and it will load up for you. Once this page populates, in order to access the marketing profile, this is going to be located on the left-hand side, right underneath Connect Settings. So we're just going to click Connect Settings, and we're going to see marketing profile is nestled right underneath that. And we're just going to go ahead and click on Marketing Profile. Once we click on that, your screen should look pretty similar to mine. The first thing we should be seeing is our photo. This is just our headshot. That being said, one of the big things with the headshot is if it looks distorted here, so if it's squished or it's stretched and it's showing up like that here, it will unfortunately show up like that on all of your marketing. So we do want to make sure that it looks perfect here. That way all of your marketing platforms are going to look the exact same. If you're seeing any sort of distortion, if it's stretched, if it's flipped, if there's something wrong with this image, what it generally means is that it was not cropped to be a square before adding it. So essentially, once you crop your photo to be a square, it will fit into that circle perfectly. If you guys ever need help with that, feel free to send that over to us and we can always crop it for you. That way it will fit into this section for you. Scrolling down a smidge, we have our team logo. You'll notice here the team logo looks a little bit wonky. It will automatically update itself on all of your marketing materials. So if your team logo does look a little bit funny here, that's completely fine. It will correct itself. If you do not have a team logo here, this is where you guys can add the realtor logo, or if you want to add another KW logo, you can. Just keep in mind that your brokerage logo is also going to be a little bit further down. So that means you will have 2 KW logos on everything, which is why we generally recommend using the realtor logo. Scrolling down a smidge more, we have our details. So starting off, we have our first name and our last name. One of the big things with your name is keep in mind, you want to make sure whatever name you have on all of your marketing is within compliance with your board and your brokerage. So if you do practice real estate in a state that requires you to have your full legal name on everything, just make sure that that is added. If you're questioning whether or not it needs to be on everything, you can always touch base with your office. Your broker in charge will be able to answer that for you. This also applies to your license number. So you'll notice your license number is the next section. For this, make sure that your license number is added. If you are practicing real estate in more than one state, I always recommend either putting the state initials or spelling the state out just so clients will know that you are licensed in more than one state. You can also put the state abbreviation at the beginning, even if you're only practicing in one state, that's completely fine as well. But this will, again, just brand your marketing for you. We also have our team name. If you're not associated with a team, that is completely fine. We do recommend that you put something here, whether it's your name with realtor and then the registered R, or maybe you add in like a catchphrase or just your name, anything along those lines. It's just going to, again, help with customization a little bit further, because the drop-down list on your website, so once your website is live today at the end of class, you're going to have a drop-down list on that website. Your team name is actually the name of that drop-down list. So whatever you guys put in that box is going to actually brand that drop-down list. So making sure there's something there will just avoid it from showing up as just your agent. Scrolling down a smidge further, we have the professional job title. This is going to be, again, whatever is within compliance with your area. There are some areas that require very specific verbiage to be used. If you're in an area that requires like licensed real estate representative, or maybe realtor in all caps with a registered R, depending on where you're located, this may vary. We always recommend just confirming with your broker in charge that your job title, professional job title, is within compliance. We also have a slogan. You'll notice that this is now mandatory. It does have that little red asterisk. So in order for us to save this page after you've made all of these updates, a slogan will need to be added. If you don't have a slogan on file yet, that's completely fine. I personally recommend just replicating whatever you put in the team section, and then you can paste that in as the slogan. And then you can always come in here and swap this out at any point in time. Nothing we do today is going to be set in stone. You guys will have access to edit everything. We also have our designations and credentials. If you've acquired additional designations, you can plug those in. Or if you've recently done bold, those can all be added. Then we have our military affiliation. This is pretty straightforward, but you would essentially just select whichever affiliation applies to you. Once you select one of these four, the branch will then show up on a drop-down on the right-hand side. So if you are associated with the military, just select the affiliation that you have, then you'll have access to select the branch. And if this doesn't apply to you, you can just leave it exactly how it is and it will not show up. The next section is our bio. You'll notice here that Lori has her bio added with all of the line breaks that she wants to populate within the bio itself. All this means is she essentially hit enter twice in order to get that line break in between the paragraphs. My personal recommendation, however you want your bio to show up on your marketing, make sure that it looks correct in here, because this again is going to be essentially the ground zero where all of your marketing pulls from. So anytime someone comes across your profile on the KW website, your office's website, your mobile app, all of these platforms are going to pull directly from this marketing profile. Scrolling down a little bit more, we have our contact information. So we have a mobile number and an office number. You'll notice that neither of these have formatting added. So essentially they don't have any dashes, periods, parentheses, or anything like that for the phone number. You can certainly add those in. However, it's not required. Any marketing platform that this information is syndicated through, it will automatically make them clickable as long as it's being opened on a mobile device, which is fantastic. It makes it a little bit easier for your clients or potential clients to get in touch with you. That being said, if you add in punctuation, it will not interfere with that. So it's completely up to you. If you want to add dashes, periods, anything like that, you can, but it's not required. And then yes, if you guys are adding in multiple designations, someone just asked in the chat, you can just separate them by a comma and a space. That way they're just kind of split into their own. They'll show up exactly how you put them in that box. Underneath our phone numbers, we have our email and our website. For the email address, this is going to be whatever email you plan on corresponding with your clients through. If that's the KW email, you can use that. If you have a team email, or maybe you just transferred to Keller Williams, but you've been using a personal Gmail in real estate for a long time, feel free to continue with that email. It's not required that you use the Keller Williams email. It's essentially whatever email you want on your marketing and the email that you're going to be using with your clients. That's what you're going to want populating here. For the website, a couple things I want to cover with the website specifically. If you guys are planning on using the command provided URL, that means that your URL is going to be ending in .kw.com. If your website ends in .kw.com, you'll want to make sure of a couple of things. First, you'll want to make sure that the website URL begins with HTTPS ;// That is going to make your command provided website clickable from all of your marketing, which is pretty cool. This means that if somebody comes across your profile on the KW website, or if they come across your profile on the office's website, when they click on your website, it's going to essentially open up in another tab automatically for them. They don't even have to worry about copying and pasting it. So it just makes their life a little bit easier. Another thing you want to make sure is if you have www. At the beginning of your website, you want to make sure that you remove that. If you go to your website ending in .kw.com and you have www. In the beginning, it's going to pull up a privacy error. The command provided websites ending in .kw.com will not work with www. So you do want to make sure that you remove that just in case you have that added. If you're using a custom domain and it ends in just regular .com, .net, any of those options, and it does not end in .kw.com, this will vary based on where you purchased the domain and how it is being directed to your website. If you are using a custom domain and you're not sure how to add that into this section, shoot us an email, let us know, and we are happy to take a look at it for you. But this information, as far as making sure it's HTTPS and no www. That's going to be specifically for .kw.com URLs. Underneath that section, we also have our brokerage information. So for this, if you recently went through our setup, or even if you were set up originally by us, whether it was a year ago, a couple months ago, anything along those lines, this should have all of your brokerage information. If your office has a DBA logo, that should be added in here. Some do not, and they use the regular KW logo, which is completely fine. However, you should still see something populating here. If you don't see a logo populating there, by all means, let us know, and we can always take a look for you. And then on the right-hand side, we have our brokerage information. So for the brokerage information, the one thing I want to make sure everybody takes a look at is make sure this information makes sense. If you recently transferred offices, or maybe you were with KW, came back, or anything along those lines, you work under a business center, which is just a smaller office that is nestled underneath a larger market center. Maybe you work with a mega team and you have a specific address. Make sure that this information makes sense for where you are practicing real estate. So if you are associated with a business center, make sure that's the address that you're seeing here. That's the city and state that you're seeing here, the phone number, the DBA name. Just make sure that it makes sense for you personally. Also make sure this is not your home address. When it comes to this information, again, it's going to be on all of your marketing materials. So we want to make sure that we're not giving out your home information. Scrolling down a smidge more, we have our compliance information. So starting with our legal footer text, I have not seen offices that have specific legal footer text that needs to be added. If you happen to have an office and there's recommendations that they have, anything across those lines, you can by all means plug that in here. Essentially, this is a great place just to copy and paste text in. You guys can go ahead and add that. If you do not have legal footer text that needs to be added here, leaving this blank is completely fine. The phrase that says each Keller Williams office is independently owned and operated is a standard. So that will automatically show up on all of your marketing. So you don't have to worry about typing that in here. That's something that will automatically show up. So if you have it typed in here as well, it will actually show up twice on all of your marketing. So just as a piece of advice, if it is there, I would recommend removing that. Scrolling down a smidge more, we have our legal footer links. If you have a particular document or just a particular URL that needs to be added to all of your marketing for compliance, all of you Texas real estate agents, you have your information about brokerage services and your consumer protection notice that needs to be added to everything. This is actually how it gets added. You essentially put the verbiage here of whatever the URL that you're adding, and then the physical URL, whether that's a public PDF file or maybe a vendor that you want to add to the footer, anything along those lines. That's how you guys can plug that information in. I'm going to go ahead and trash that just so I don't add a blank URL to Lori's website. The next one is going to be our legal footer images. For this, you guys can add either legal footer images if you have anything. Sometimes I've seen agents add the realtor logo, maybe equal housing, or I've also seen agents add their additional designation logos that maybe they've acquired over the years. That is a very good idea. So if you guys have acquired additional designations, you guys can always plug those logos in right here, because again, this is going to show up on all of your marketing on the footer. So it's a great one-stop shop to get that added. One thing I will say is keep in mind, they're only 128 by 48 pixels, which is a very small image. It's a very small rectangle. So just kind of keep that in mind when you guys are adding logos. I definitely recommend making sure that they show up legibly before moving forward. So if it is a logo that is very small print as is, I may avoid adding that logo unless it's something that is easily recognizable. For the last section of social media, if you have business pages created for your social media platforms, this is a great way to add those to all of your marketing. If you have not had a chance to create business pages yet, don't panic. I would just recommend holding off before you start adding URLs here. Keep in mind, these are going to be on all of your marketing. So this is just a personal recommendation that when it comes to adding these pages to this platform, make sure that they're real estate geared, because again, all of your clients are going to have access to this information. So if you haven't created a Facebook, Twitter, or an Instagram account directly related to your real estate platform, I would just recommend holding off until you have a chance to do that. We do have tip videos that go over creating all three, just in case you guys get stuck. For YouTube, as long as it's real estate geared, whether it's virtual open houses or anything along those lines, seen agents use some of the great aerial footage that they've gotten for certain listings and they put it on there. That's a great option for it. But as long as it's essentially real estate geared, I say go for it. Add that URL in there for your channel. For LinkedIn, any profile you guys create on LinkedIn will be business related, so you don't have to worry about that. That's your business networking platform. We also have Google Analytics, where your websites, we're going to be setting those up today. So chances are you may not have this set up yet, which is completely fine. Google Analytics is a great tool to set up once your website is live. This is actually going to track the traffic of your website. So it's a great way just to kind of see who's getting to your website, who's coming across it on a search, and kind of like what they're doing when they're on your site. So if you haven't set this up, no worries. We have a tip video and I actually hyperlinked it in the notes that I shared in the chat as well. And if you guys are watching the recording, the notes are hyperlinked right underneath this class, so you guys have access to them as well. And there's a tip video that goes over how to set that up. If you guys made any changes at all, someone also dropped in the chat that like their address had changed. If you guys made any changes at all, any tweaks to any of this information, make sure you're clicking save all the way down at the bottom. This is going to lock in all of those updates you just made. And once we click that, we get our little pop-up just letting us know that it was successfully saved. And once you guys get that, we can go ahead and just X that pop-up out. And last but not least, before diving into the actual consumer tab, on the top right-hand corner of your marketing profile, we have use my information to brand my agent site. Make sure that this toggle switch right here is populating with a green bubble. If you're seeing a gray bubble, if you click it, it's going to essentially turn itself green, meaning that it is now being shared with all of your marketing platforms. Think of this as an on-off switch for your branding to be live. If you see it as being gray, it means that all of the branding that you just put together on this page is not being shared. Once it's green, it will essentially syndicate out and update all of your marketing platforms through command. So pretty important. Just make sure that that's populating as green. Once you guys have gone ahead and done that, we're going to go ahead and jump into the consumer tab. So the consumer tab is the last option on the left-hand side. And if you guys ever question which is which, the white KW in the top left-hand corner will label all of your tabs for you. So sometimes that makes it a little bit easier. I'm just going to go ahead and click on consumer. And sometimes this takes a second to load. So again, don't panic if it does take a moment to populate. But once it does show up, your screen should look pretty similar to mine. You may have these 3 pages already created, the About Us, About Me, and Contact Us. If you already have those pages added, all that means is your website has already been set up. And today will be more about adding your own personal touch to it. If you're coming into this section and you're not seeing these 3 pages set up, what that means is the process that you go through today will essentially create these 3 pages and also make those pages live on your website. If you're not seeing a clickable URL here, it also just means that your website is not yet live. Again, don't panic. We're going to go through the full setup process today. So you guys will be ending class today with a live website. So once you guys are on this page, we're going to go ahead and actually jump into the Kelly Guide. The Kelly Guide is going to be kind of like our step-by-step process that is going to allow us to launch this new website. In order to access that platform, once we are on this page, we're going to go ahead and click on Site and App Settings in the top right-hand corner. So again, we clicked on Consumer, and then we're going to click on Site and App Settings. Once we click on that, we're going to go ahead and click on Learn More with Kelly Guides. And that's going to give us this pop-up where we can select Agent Site and Continue. So Learn More with Kelly Guides, Agent Site, and then Continue. And this is the Firefox pop-up that I had warned you guys about. I'm going to go ahead and click Leave Page. That way it will load for me. If you guys are also using Firefox and you see that, don't panic, it's normal. Once we get to this page, all we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and click on Get Started. This page is essentially just breaking down what we're going to be doing today. So essentially choosing our subdomain, meaning we're going to select our URL, which is perfect. Theme and styling, we're going to go over some of the things that you guys will have access to tweak and edit within the website itself. And then also page creation. We're going to be creating those 3 pages that we just saw, the About Us, About Me, and the Contact Us page. So I'll go ahead and click on Get Started. Once this pops up, this is just our compliance reminder. It's just letting you know that everything you add to this website today, you do want to make sure that you're within compliance. So any questions that you guys have in regards to compliance, you can always go to your broker in charge within your office. Generally, also your market center administrator and your TL can answer some of those questions for you. But if you ever have a question, always ask. Make sure that it is within compliance before making it live, just to avoid any potential fees. So definitely keep in mind anything that you guys are adding today, double check if you're questioning whether or not it's within compliance. We'll go ahead and click on Acknowledge and Continue. Once we are on this page, I'm just going to kind of explain what we're going to be doing, where we're going to be clicking, because this looks a little bit funny when you first start going through it. All of the edits that we're going to be making on the website itself are actually going to be done in this very small section on the right-hand side. So this little square or rectangle area on the right-hand side is where all of our edits will be made. This massive section over here is actually the preview of your website itself. So we won't actually be clicking, dragging anything along the lines in this section. Everything will be done right here, and it will actually show up on our preview. So you don't have to worry about doing anything in this massive section. Looks a little bit daunting when we first have this page load. So first things first, we have our subdomain selection. You'll notice here that Lori already has hers selected. If you too already have one populating here, your confirm button is blocked out, it's grayed out. It just means that you've already confirmed your subdomain. However, in order for us to move forward, you do need to actually reconfirm it. So whether you have something here or not, you'll either want to type in a subdomain that you're looking to use, or if you already have one confirmed, what I usually do is I add a space at the end, then I delete it and reconfirm it. So if you already have one, add a space at the end, that way it's clickable, and then it will let you reconfirm it. And your subdomain is going to be your actual website URL. So if your name is John Smith, you could do John Smith here, and then it will end in .kw.com. And every website that you guys are setting up, every agent's website through command, they're all going to end in .kw.com. And then you just want to make sure that your subdomain follows these specifics as well. It can't be over 30 characters. It can't have spaces, just like any URL, no special characters. If you have an existing subdomain and you're not happy with it, you can change that here. Keep in mind, if you don't have a subdomain set up currently, or if you change it here, your website does generally take an hour to load. So once we're done with class and you go through the full process, it generally takes about an hour for that change to take place. Don't panic. That is completely normal. So if you guys are tweaking your domain here, don't panic. It takes a full hour for it to go live. But once you guys have something plugged in here, and if you just put in something silly right now just to get your website live and you change it later on today, that's also fine. Again, this isn't locked in stone. I'll show you guys a quick way to change this as well at the end of class. But once you guys have that and you've clicked on confirm, you have your little teal message here that says congrats that you've claimed your subdomain. This means we can now expand on the marketing profile. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on marketing profile information. And the beauty of this section, this is my favorite part, it automatically pulls all of the information we just set up on your marketing profile. So you guys actually don't have to make edits here, which is fantastic. It's definitely a time saver. So as far as our information, the only thing I recommend is as we're scrolling down, just make sure it makes sense. Make sure that everything looks correct, but it is pulling every piece of information that you just manually added to your marketing profile is now being moved to this platform for you. We've got our contact information. Our bio has all of the line breaks that Lori had originally. Our license numbers are showing up. All of our information is showing properly. And then when I scroll down to the images, you'll notice that Lori's picture is cropped to be a square. She also has her team or her brokerage logo looks much prettier here. It's no longer squished. And then her team logo as well, same thing. You'll notice it corrected itself. Scroll down a smidge more. We have our social media URLs. Once you guys do obtain your social media URLs, and again, no stress. If you guys don't have them created yet, don't worry. You can add them at any point in time. Once you plug them into your marketing profile, they will automatically syndicate where they should. So you won't have to re-go through this process. It will automatically correct itself for you. But once you guys do have those pages created, if you decide to do that, make sure that you do paste the entire URL there. You'll notice that she has the full HTTPS with facebook.com/ her kind of tag. If this is her specific page. So you just want to make sure it's the full URL. Scrolling down a smidge more, we also have the mobile app. This will automatically pull based on the mobile app you guys have on file. This is provided by Keller Williams International. You'll notice you can't edit it, which is perfect. It means that you cannot accidentally tweak that, so it wouldn't work. And yes, sorry, someone just asked the question as I was going over it. Yes, the app link is auto-generated by Keller Williams International, and it will brand itself based on your marketing profile. So you guys won't have to worry about this. It is not editable. You are essentially what you are given as your URL is what you will use while you are with that market center. And once you guys have done that, if you scroll all the way down on the right, we're going to have a save and continue. Once we are on this platform, the first thing you guys are going to see on the right-hand side are going to be two themes for the website. For the themes, they are very, very subtle. So don't panic if you don't notice a big difference. In regards to these two, they have a red theme and then they have a dark theme. Pretty much the overall consensus of this is the red theme is going to make your accent text that Keller Williams red, and then the dark theme is going to make accent text kind of like a charcoal gray. I have not been able to see a specific difference between the two, so don't panic when it comes to these. I'll also show you an easier way to swap these out down the line. So if you do decide to change this to see the differences down the line, I'll show you a quick way to swap them out so you guys can kind of hold them up against each other. But as of right now, I'm going to leave mine as the KW red theme. If you guys want to select the dark theme, you can. Scrolling down a smidge more, we have our homepage text. This is going to be the text that shows up exactly where it sounds, right on your homepage. This is what's going to show up right above the search bar. So if you guys have not yet seen a command provided website, this is essentially the perfect preview of what your homepage will look like. It essentially has your homepage text. It's going to have your brokerage logo on the left-hand corner. If you guys have a Keller Williams brokerage logo added to your marketing profile, then this is where your team logo shows up. And then it essentially will have a drop-down list here once your pages are live. But this is where your homepage text is going to populate. So whatever you guys want to populate here, maybe you have a catchphrase or a team name or anything along those lines, you can plug that right into your homepage text. You can also leave it as find your dream home. That's completely fine as well. And also keep in mind, you can tweak this at any point in time. So if you guys are trying to think of fun ideas to add in, nothing is set in stone. This can all be edited as frequently as you'd like. So don't panic. Scrolling down a smidge more, we have our homepage hero images. This is essentially a nice way of saying these are your background images. So on your main page, you'll notice there is a background image, an aerial view of all of those homes. This does work as a slideshow. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pull up Lori's website so you guys can see what it will look like. It's essentially a slideshow, and you'll notice they just rotate out as the pictures kind of rotate through. That being said, you'll also notice that there is a little bit of like a gray overlay on these pages. So when it comes to these pages, or when you guys are adding background images to the website itself, keep that in mind as you guys are adding them. That gray overlay is a standard, and it's more so to make sure that this, not only this text pops, but that the search option pops on your website. So there is no way to remove that gray overlay. But this is essentially, this is the slideshow. We'll just kind of keep going through them for you. But in regards to the images themselves, you can swap these out. If you are planning on swapping out the background images, there are some stock photo options on the notes that were shared previously. So if you guys bookmarked those, I think I gave 4 options that we generally use for stock photos, which again, they're free. They're stock photos, which means that you can legally add them to your website, which is perfect. But you do want to pay attention to the size of those images. You'll notice that the system recommends 1200 by 1200. 1200 by 1200 is going to give you a massive square. You'll notice on our preview that it's actually more of like a narrow rectangle. So what we've seen is as long as the picture is more along the lines of 1200 by 600, you'll be golden. That will give you more of a rectangle. If you have an image that is 1200 by 1200, or it's not this exact, but it's around that, when you go to upload an image, it's going to allow you to crop that image in real time in order to fit the standard of the website. So if it's not exact, don't worry. It will allow you to crop it accordingly, and you will be able to see what that background image will look like as you're adding it. One thing to keep in mind is if you are swapping images out, you do have up to 5 slots for images, but in order for you to be able to effectively add new background images, you do need to delete the standard ones. If you delete the standard ones and realize maybe you made a mistake or maybe you want them back, we do have them on file. So if you need them, feel free to email us and we can always re-add those in for you. We are going to go ahead and click on Save and Continue at the bottom. Once we are on this page, this is going to be our About Us section. So for anybody who is on the live class, this is where the notes that I shared previously are going to come in handy. If you are watching the recording, there's going to be hyperlinked notes that are going to pull up our website 101 class. Underneath the About Us content company profile, this is actually the content that I'm going to be adding into this page. So you guys will be able to copy and paste this, which just makes it a little bit easier. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy and drop this into the chat once more for you guys, just so you have it. But on the right-hand side, this is going to be the first page that we're actually adding to the website platform, starting with the navigation tab. Navigation, this is going to be the exact same on all 3 pages, which is fantastic. This is actually allowing you to change the order of the pages on your website. So if you want the company profile to be first, if you want the About Me first, and then Contact Us, it essentially allows you to drag and drop these based on which order you want them to be on your website. My personal recommendation, anytime you guys are working on your website and as you start to build your website, if you add additional contacts or additional content to the platform itself, we always recommend leaving the Contact Us at the bottom. What this allows you to do is provide value to your clients first, and then giving them the option to also provide their information. So it kind of allows them to see all of the value that you're providing them, and then also prompts them to give you their contact information at the bottom. Just a personal recommendation. It's not required. You guys can change this however you see fit. Underneath that, we have our search engine optimization, and we'll go over this for each page just so you guys have the clarity of what section should be which. But as far as our page title goes, for the company profile, we generally recommend that you change this to be something along the lines of your office name. So if you are with Keller Williams Realty Select, you may want to put that. If you're with Keller Williams on the Water, you would put that. I'm only thinking of Sarasota offices off the top of my head. But whatever office you guys are associated with, you would want to put that as your page title. I cannot remember the one that Lori's with, so I'm just going to put Keller Williams Realty. That's generally what we recommend, is to put something along those lines, because this is going to be kind of some content that goes over why work with a Keller Williams real estate agent. And this again is going to be the name of the page on our drop-down list. For our slug, I'm going to leave this as About Us. If you want to change that, you can. The slug is going to be the tail end of the URL for this specific page. So in other words, if you wanted to share this specific page with your clients, you would share them the HTTPS // then it has your full command website / the slug. That will drop them on this page when they go to that link. For the SEO description, this is essentially going to be a description that goes over what's going to be on this page. As far as that goes, if you've ever used like Bing, Google, any sort of search engine anywhere, when you go to that search engine and you type in what you're looking for, it gives you the name of the page, it gives you the URL for the page you're about to click on, and then it gives you that little synopsis that says, you know, this is what you're about to click on. If you're searching for like a local Target, it gives you like Target's catchphrase and a couple of things that might be on sale or anything along those lines. That's what the SEO description is. It's that little synopsis that shows up on a Google search or any sort of search engine. So for here, I'm just going to put, how can we help? Contact us today. And that should be the question mark. but you guys can swap this out however you see fit. If you want to put in particular information about this page, it's generally, again, going to be some content in regards to why working with a Keller Williams agent, and you guys can customize this however you'd like. This is just kind of some standard information so we can get the page live for you. Underneath that, we have our content, and this is where we're going to be doing some cutting and pasting, copying and pasting from that notes page. So for the top header, for our page header, what I generally recommend is match whatever you have put as your page title. So if you guys have the full brokerage name, I would recommend doing the exact same thing for your page header under content. So I'm going to go ahead and type in Keller Williams Realty again. And you'll notice as I'm doing that, it's populating right on my preview. For our background images, this guy right here, I'm going to leave that as is. If you do have something specific you want to swap this out with, maybe you work by the water or you work more in the country, anything along those lines. If you have a stock photo or a picture that you took that you want to swap it out with, you can. You just need to make sure that the dimensions are 2000 by 500, and then you can plug that in here. And again, this page can be edited down the line, so don't panic. Underneath that, we have our intro paragraph. So all I'm going to do is from our notes, I'm just going to copy the intro paragraph section. I have it up on another screen, and I'm just pasting that in. Then for our section 1 headline, we're going to delete that. And I'm going to paste in our section 1 paragraph. And again, this is all noted on the notes just to toggle back so you guys can see it. So our intro paragraph, it says delete section headline 1. We're going to do the same for 2. And then we're just pasting our paragraphs in. Then I'm going to scroll down a smidge. And I'm going to do the same thing with my headline title too. We're going to delete that. And then I'm going to paste my paragraph 2 into that section. And then scrolling down a smidge more, we have our footer. And I'm just going to plug in for our footer title, how can we help? And then the footer paragraph, we have contact us today. And keep in mind, this information can be tweaked. It can be customized. You guys can completely start from scratch and add in completely customized information. So you guys can add this in however you see fit. This is just the filler information that we have provided for you. That way this page is live right now. And if you have headlines that you want to add in, you can. We just don't have anything for those sections. Once you guys have copied and pasted that content into this section, we're going to go ahead and click on continue, and I'll give you guys a second just to catch up. Go ahead and click on continue. Once we are on this page, this is going to be our About Me page. So it's essentially going to be about you as the real estate agent. Starting with our navigation, same thing. It's just letting us know which page we're on. If you guys already reorged it, you don't have to worry about doing it again. It will automatically adjust itself once we go ahead and finalize the website. For our search engine optimization, same thing as the last section. We have our page title. It says About Me. If you want to customize this a little bit further and maybe put like about your first name, maybe your name is John and you want to put about John, or maybe you're sharing this website with a spouse, you can put about us or about both of your names. You guys can update this however you see fit. So keep in mind, this is completely customizable in the sense that if there's a tweak that you want to make, go for it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in about Lori for her. If you guys do tweak the page title, I do recommend matching the slug to that title. So I'm just going to go ahead and update hers as well and just change it to About Lori. That way it's consistent. for our SEO description, I'm just going to put learn more about the Godfrey real estate. And you can put learn more about John Smith, realtor with Keller Williams. You can put learn more about Keller Williams Realty Select, realtors John Smith, anything along those variation, something in here that just helps bump this page a little bit. And once we have that added, our content. And the beauty of this section as well is it's going to pull from your marketing profile. So you guys don't have to actually make any changes. The only thing that does essentially, or I would recommend updating, is the title. So instead of just about me, I would recommend putting your whole name. So I'm going to put Lori Godfrey here. And then we have our title. This is going to automatically pull your title, or essentially your role, your not your designation, your, my brain is escaping me, whatever you put as your title on your marketing profile. So like realtor, licensed real estate representative, it's pulling that plus your team name. So it's essentially pulling that, putting at, and then plus your team name. If you're not seeing that populate automatically, again, don't panic. You can type it in. You can put in realtor with Keller Williams Realty Select, or whatever your DBA is. Anything along those lines, you would just want to type that in. Then we have our bio title. I'm going to leave that as is. It just says about Lori. That's what's populating right here. And then for our bio, because I always get this question, it looks a little funny right here. We're not seeing line breaks. However, on the actual bio, even if I stretch it out, you're seeing that there are actually line breaks added. As long as you're seeing it on the right-hand side, you are golden. The preview for this particular page is not accurate. It will show up with the line breaks as long as it's showing up on this section here on the right. So if you guys are looking in the bio section, it's showing up perfectly. It has all of the punctuation that you were looking for. You're good to go. It will automatically show up on the live site. Last but not least is our contact information, which will also pull directly from the marketing profile, starting with our phone number and our email. These are pulling directly from the profile. And you'll notice that the phone number, even though I don't have punctuation, it is showing up properly on the actual platform. And then I'm just going to go ahead and do continue. This is our contact us page. This is the last page. Your websites are almost live. So for this one, same thing, navigation. It's just letting us know that we are now on the contact page. Again, if you guys tweaked this already, it doesn't reflect on each section, but it will update itself on the live platform, so don't panic. But as far as our SEO optimization, we can go ahead and tweak this. One of the biggest questions that I always get every class is, why does it say contact us if I'm only one agent? You can tweak this. You can make this however you'd like it to populate. So I'm just going to go ahead and put contact Lori just to make it a little less plural. And then as far as the slug goes, I'm going to leave that as contact just to leave it short and sweet. But if you guys don't want us, if you want just your name, or you can put contact me, that's completely fine as well. But I do agree. It's plural. So if you're an individual agent, I get that. You might want to change it. For the SEO description, I'm just going to put contact Lori today for all of your real estate needs. You guys can do the same thing, or if there's something different you want to use, completely fine. These are just recommendations. So something along the lines of contact us today. We can help out with real estate needs or anything along those lines. The next section is the content. So the content for this page is very straightforward, which is fantastic. A lot of it is done for us. Starting with our page header, I do recommend, again, that you match that to whatever your page title is, just because it looks nice and consistent and it looks clean. So I'm going to go ahead and just put contact Lori. If you're having trouble editing the bio within that page, chances are it may have too many characters. If you guys are running into issues adding your bio on the About Me page, feel free to shoot an email over to us and we can take a look at your account. I just had a question come through on the chat, just in case anybody else is also seeing that. Once you guys have your page header updated, we're just going to go ahead and add a small intro paragraph. For this, I generally put for all your real estate needs or all of your real estate needs, something along those lines. Or if you guys have a catchphrase that you're sticking with, you can also add that in. But I'm just going to put for all of your real estate needs. Nice and simple, but it just gives it a little something so it's not just contact Lori. For the message hint, I'm going to leave that as is. That's just the suggestive text that is going to show up within the message platform. Just kind of gives them an idea as to what you're looking for as the agent. If there is something specific you want to change that to, you can do it right within this text box. You can also clean it up a little bit if you want them to be on each line. That's also completely fine. If maybe having them smushed together just isn't something that you want, you can kind of split them up. However you guys see fit, you can update that. For the phone number, the contact page is the only one that doesn't punctuate itself. So I'm just going to add in the dashes here just so it's consistent with our About Me page. You'll notice once I add dashes in manually for this particular page, it adds them in also on our preview. This is the only page that does that, just in case. Once you guys have all of that updated, we can go ahead and click on Save and Continue on the bottom right. And then it does usually take a second because it is generating the website at that time. Once you guys do get to this page, I'm just going to go ahead and click on Manage Sites, which is the center option. This is just going to bring us back to where we started so we can make sure that everything is live and good to go. So our pages were officially added. You'll notice that it did duplicate from the original pages. All this means is that the new pages are going to have all of the updates that I added in today. So all of the SEO information, any tweaks I made to verbiage, it's going to automatically add them to the new pages. So one of two things can happen. If I want to completely delete these pages, I can do that. Keep in mind, you cannot get them back if you delete the original pages. Don't panic because you essentially have replicas here. But if you do delete these, it is going to delete them permanently. That can be done by clicking on these three dots. You can either edit or delete them. If you don't want to delete the duplicate pages, but you just want to remove them from the live website. So maybe you don't want two About Us pages, two About Me pages, and two contact pages, which would make sense. If you're just looking to delete those duplicates, we can do this from the site and app settings section. So anytime we want to make an edit to any of the pages that we have added through this Kelly guide, what we did today, or any of the things that we went over, you want to update your background image, you want to change the catchphrase on the main link, you want to change the order of the pages on your website. All of this is going to be done through site and app settings, which is accessible the second you click on the consumer icon. So I'm going to go ahead and click on site and app settings so I can show you guys how to get rid of duplicates if you have them, and also how to make some of those quick edits. So once we come back to the site and app settings, on the top, or not on the top, but on the right-hand side, agent site pages, we're going to kind of work backwards, but we're going to start with agent site pages, that tab. And this is the Firefox thing, click leave page. So once I click on agent site pages, you're going to see that all of my new pages are down at the bottom and my original pages are at the top. So if I want to go ahead and delete those duplicates, these are my old pages. All I would do is select the page by clicking on these 6 dots. It's going to show up the SEO information. And I can go ahead and click on the three dots associated with that page right here. And I can click on delete. The second I click on delete, it's going to populate with confirm, and I click it again. Oh, I did it too slow. Oh, it did take it away. It just took a second. So once I deleted that, I can go ahead and do the exact same thing with the About Lori. And it's likely getting mad because these two pages have the exact same slug. So it's letting me know that it's going to cause issues on the live website. So I can go ahead and refresh it again. And then it will let me delete my duplicate contact me because we want to keep the branded one that we did today. We'll do delete, confirm. And now I'm left with only my 3 pages that I created today that are up to date with any of the tweaks or edits that you guys made during class. So these are all of those pages. They're good to go. If you want to change the name of any of these pages that you did today, maybe you come back and you say, you know what, I actually want to change the page title on this, or I want to add additional SEO description. You can do that just by selecting the actual page you're looking to make edits to. Once you make any changes to any of these, make sure that you click on this save button, and it will give you that green ribbon letting you know that it's been adjusted. So that's how you guys can tweak that. You can also change the order of the pages by dragging and dropping. And then I always recommend clicking on save. It should save without it. I still recommend clicking on save just in case. The next tab is going to be themes. So when we had gone over themes a little bit earlier, I mentioned there is a quicker way to swap these just in case you don't want to go entirely through the Kelly guide. You can do this also through the theme tab or theme tab. This is going to allow you to select either the red theme or the dark theme. Again, they are very, very subtle. So if you guys don't notice an immediate difference, don't panic. It also does take full 17 minutes. It takes a full 15 minutes to update on your website itself. So don't worry if it does take a moment to populate. The next section is featured listings. If you haven't set this up yet, or if you don't have active featured listings or active listings to feature, don't panic. As you start to obtain additional listings, you can add these in here. It's a great feature. It's going to allow you to essentially have them right on your main page. One thing to keep in mind that this is 100% for active residential homes. Unfortunately, commercial will not populate on your website at this time, but residential listings will. Rentals, it seems to depend on the board. Same thing with coming soon listings. It seems to depend on the board. That's not a blanket option, unfortunately. But active residential listings will show up as featured listings right on the main page of your website. So as you guys start to obtain listings, or maybe you're covering an open house for someone and you want to add it to your website, that's something that you guys can plug in. The next tab is going to be URLs. This is where you guys can actually tweak the URL of your website. So maybe you guys picked something kind of as like a placeholder today. You weren't sure what you wanted. You can come in here and tweak that further. Once you guys make any adjustments, make sure that you click on Save Changes and it will lock that in. Once you do click on Save Changes, it does take generally, it says, I think 45 minutes, but I've seen it take up to an hour. So again, don't panic if it does take up to an hour. But once you guys do select whatever URL you're looking to use for the website and you click on Save Changes, it will automatically correct itself within an hour. Again, this is also where you can locate your mobile app URL. This is not editable. You cannot change that in any way, shape, or form. You can only copy it and essentially add it to marketing. Last but not least, we have our General tab. General tab has the most information. So this is actually where you guys can change your hero text. If you guys are looking to swap that out at a later date, maybe you have a catchphrase or a team name you want to add in, that's where you can do it much quicker than going through the full Kelly guide all over again. We also have the site images. So these are your background images for the main page itself. This is where you guys can delete the existing ones and then upload new ones. You'll notice that the upload button is grayed out because I'm already using all 5 slots that are provided to me. Once I delete an image, it will then allow me to upload a new one. So in other words, if you're over 5 images or if you're essentially capped at your 5 images, you cannot add new ones until you delete one. For the download app landing page, this is something that Keller Williams International seems to still be working on. So don't panic on this. We have not seen a way to actually add that yet, so don't worry. For virtual tours, if you guys do have virtual tours, this is a great option as well. There's a tip video in the notes that goes over how to set this up, just in case. And then preferences, it's kind of hidden, but it's the last option. And if you click on the triangle on the right-hand side, you'll notice here that this is actually where you can enable or disable Keller Mortgage, Keller Covered, and Display Neighborhoods. So these are things that you can enable or disable depending on what you want to populate on your website and your mobile app. So if you guys need to disable these, I know that there are some states that don't allow this to populate. So if you are with a state that needs to disable it, you would just click on disable and then save changes, and it will update within 72 hours. That is pretty much it for the website. I'm going to go back to the agent site pages, and I'm hoping that her website updated. Again, this is the Firefox thing. But I'm going to check and see. Perfect. So it did allow me to remove those pages. So that is essentially how you would hide them. A message did come through asking how you can hide pages and not delete them. By deleting them under site and app settings, you're not deleting them. You're taking them off of the live website. They will remain in the back end of your website as a carbon copy. If you're looking to delete them, meaning completely wipe them from your command platform, that's where you would do the 3 dots and delete. That will delete every piece of this page in particular. So anytime you guys come back in here, if you see a gray eyeball, it means that the page is not live. It means it's essentially on the back end. You guys can still make edits to it. You can go back in and manually make it live again through site and app settings, but it means that a gray eyeball, it's not live on your website right now. The teal eyeballs means that they are live pages on your website and they're ready to view. So that's also just something to keep in mind. I am going to go ahead and see if these are showing up. Hoping, yay, it looks like they may have fixed the website platform. So this is essentially your company profile. This is the page that we set up today. This is what the live page looks like. If you guys are looking to just get to the main homepage of your website, you can also do it by clicking on the URL here. If that's not showing up yet, if it's still gray, it just means that you just set up your website today. So it is brand new and it is still making itself live. Again, that's usually an hour turnaround. Or if you changed your URL at the beginning of class, again, usually an hour turnaround. So don't worry, you'll be able to come back in here and take a look at the pages in a bit. But as far as the website platform goes, this is our company profile. I'll pull up this is our about page. You'll notice her bio is showing up perfectly. That's exactly how she wanted it to populate. And then we have our contact Lori. We have all of that information plus the adjustments that we made there, contact information again. And then if I go home, it pulls up her home screen with all of her information. You'll also notice that her DBA brokerage logo looks much prettier here. It's no longer squished like it was on the marketing profile. Same thing with their logo. You'll notice that both of them auto-correct themselves. Also, as I scroll down, we have a featured listing showing up right here. This is where your featured listings would show once you add them. It's right underneath that kind of main section and right above interested, let's talk. You'll also notice down here, all of her brokerage information is populating. We have the Keller Williams franchise, equal opportunity. Each office is independently owned and operated. This phrase right here is on every single piece of marketing that you create through command. You do not have to worry about adding it manually. This is the phrase that I was talking about when we were on the marketing profile. But everything else, you'll notice like fair housing, all of that is showing up here. Contact information, her license information, brokerage information, team logo looks beautiful, direct link to her Facebook page that she added, it all populates. So websites look like they have officially been updated. So that was perfect timing. But this is how everything will show up on the live page. If you guys start tinkering around with this later on and you hit into any snags, if you're trying to do something specific and you get stuck, definitely just let us know. We do have a website 201 class this Friday. So if you guys are interested in learning how to build some additional custom pages and adding some custom content to the website, that class will also cover that. But if you guys need anything, definitely let us know. And I hope that you guys got something out of class today. And I hope that you guys enjoy what is left of your Wednesday.